Hey everybody, I'm Tanner Knight. Welcome to Tanner's Favorite Things, and today we are going to be talking about this Tama King-Beat Imperialstar Snare. So we're going to take this snare off of this stand here and replace this old batter head and get a better tonal sample of this with a new head. But I just wanted to get a bass line. We have a very old Remo Weather King head on here, and it's pretty tight. It's got a black dot on it, and I don't think this head is whipped by any means, but it's old, and I just want to put an Evans head on here. I have an Evans G1 head that I'm going to swap this out for, and yeah, that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to take a look at this thing. I want to play it a little bit before swapping off the head, and then we'll get a real tonal sample with a brand new head and a fresh tune on there, and go from there. So again, this is a 78 or 79 Tama Imperialstar King-Beat Snare. A lot of words there, but it comes from the Imperialstar line of drums, which was their kind of second in line after the Superstars in the late 70s, but this snare is the highest range snare that they had, other than a few custom wood shell options, but they don't have a Superstar snare in the line yet. So we have the Imperialstar Snare in 78, 79, has the muffler, it has the one-touch lever control, and the nicer snare strainer here. We have really nice components on this, a seamless shell, seamless stainless steel, die-cast hoops. It's just a really great instrument, and it's become my second favorite snare after my Pearl Masters Maple Complete snare, which I just can't get enough of. But anyway, this one is a great second snare, and it sounds like this. It's rowdy, it's loud, it's full, it's fat. I just love the sound of this snare. But there are a couple things that need to be changed, the head being one of them, and also the previous owner. I don't know if you can see this little strip of fabric, but the previous owner laid a strip of fabric right underneath the batter head to provide a little bit of muffling, and I just don't think that's necessary. So we're going to remove that. We're going to take a look at all the internal components and replace the head and see what this thing sounds like with a fresh head and tune. All right, I've got a fresh Evans G1 coated to replace this old Remo head. So let's talk as we take this thing apart. You can see that we do have 10 lugs on this snare, so it is in fact a 10 lug snare. Wow, these swivel nuts feel like they're very smooth. There's very little resistance once the threads get beyond where they have tension, so that's a really nice design as well. 10 lugs on, like I said, die-cast hoops, and we'll take a look at the individual lugs here in a second, but I think that's it. Let's go ahead and get this head off of here. You can see what I was talking about, this thing right here. This was used just to add a little bit of dampening underneath the head, so they just stretch it, put the head down, and I just don't think it's necessary. So let's take a look at the internals of this snare. So this strainer, like I mentioned, is the nicer one. They have a couple more compact versions, but this is the one that has the most adjustability of the time. So they had 3. This is the higher range one, and you can see it has a nice one-touch lever for the interacting with the actual snare wires. You can see it raises that unit up and down. We have a tension knob here to provide more or less tension on those snare wires. Nice Tama branding. And this rod goes all the way through the snare and terminates over here. We'll flip it around to see the other side of the butt plate, I guess, here. And look at the bearing edge real quick. These are 45-degree bearing edges on both sides, and they're machined, so they should be perfect. There's absolutely nothing that can go wrong with this bearing edge. Molded in there at 45 degrees. These are also seamless shells, which means you won't find a welded or glued or whatever kind of seam on this shell at all. So that's a nice feature. Here is our Tama muffler, same as the Superstar shells and the Imperialstar shells for that matter. But really nice interior of the snare. I believe this Remo Weather King Rezo head here is probably original as well. It's a Remo Weather King Ambassador made in USA. So this is what this snare looks like. Let's take a look at this side of the strainer and the butt plate. You can see we have this lever here that actuates from the other side to take the strainer up or down so that it gets out of the way. And that's how that's actuated. Very nice, burly design for the late 70s. So I'm taking this thing apart entirely, and I don't know if I can get these two strainer and butt plate off, but I did want to point out what one of these lugs looks like. So if you've never seen one of these springless Imperialstar Snare lugs, they look like this. And they do have foam on the inside. It looks like there's two of these little plastic things to retain the swivel nuts, which again are some of the smoothest turning swivel nuts I've ever felt on any drum. But this is the Imperialstar Snare lug. I believe they use the same exact lug on the 6.5-inch snare. This is the 5.5-inch, but they just use longer T rods. So that's what we've got here. Let's put her back together. And these are affixed by this type of screw set. There's one screw with two washers and kind of a ferrule which sits against the inside of the shell. So that's how it's done. In full disclosure, this little plastic part that holds the damper here is broken off the top here. The piece exists, so it's still there, and I believe it works just fine with the damper on top of it, but I just wanted to disclose that just in case anyone was curious about that in the future. All right, she's all back together with the brand new Evans G1 head, and I tightened the hell out of this head so it's pretty tight, and it sounds really good. So it's looking good, it's sounding good. Let's hear a full demo of this thing now with the new head. Well, that's about all I can do to demonstrate the sound of this snare, but I think it sounds really good. I think with the fresh head, I didn't change the Rezo head because I just didn't see a need to. It didn't have any tears in it. Had a few divots in it that it looks like someone's hit it a couple times, but it flattens out really well and it seems to do just fine. So I kept the Rezo head, but changed out that old Remo head for a fresh Evans G1 coated, and I think it makes a world of difference. It adds snap to the sound. It doesn't take away the deepness, but I think I've got this one a little higher tuned as well, so that also helps it ring out a little bit better. I might tune it down just a hair to get a little more of the fatness in, but it's still a pretty fat sounding snare. Really nice. So what's the final word on this Tama Imperialstar 5.5-inch snare from the 70s? Well, I would say it's one of my favorite snares that I've ever played. And I said that before, but I'll doubly say it again, especially with the new head. I think that makes a world of difference. I didn't need to do much to this snare to maintain it. Luckily, the lugs and the butt plate and the snare, everything was in pretty good shape. And I gave it a polish, which always helps. And just in case you were wondering, we do have a 6-digit serial number beginning with 123, and that typically will indicate late 70s, early 80s. That's actually very close to the serial number on the Tama Superstar kit to my left, which is slightly out of view. But this 1978, we'll call it, or 79, Tama Imperialstar King-Beat Snare is a great, great instrument. And it comes down to the seamless shell, the die-cast hoops, which are just really ahead of their time for this period of drum manufacturing. This throw-off and butt plate design is really nice, and it really makes for a classy quality snare. And I can't say enough good things about it. So this is going to be my primary snare for this super mahogany Superstar kit for a while. This one is not for sale. I don't think I'll ever sell this one. I don't know, it's just so good. But these are readily available on the open market. You can go to Reverb or eBay or even your local like Facebook or Craigslist or whatever and find an Imperialstar 5.5-inch snare, the King-Beat version, for around $300 to $400. I acquired this one with this whole Superstar set, so it kind of came as part of the set. But on its own, you can expect around $300 to $400 for this snare. There's a ton of them. They made so many of these, and they just last forever. There's nothing that can destroy these. So there's a lot of them for sale, and you know, they retain their value pretty well. It's not like a bell brass, but it's still a pretty high-end snare for its era and for any era for that matter. So let me know what you think. Do you have a Tama Imperialstar King-Beat snare yourself? If so, is it the 5.5-inch version or the 6.5 version? I'd love to play that taller snare and compare it against my 6.5-inch Pearl Masters, but I haven't come across one. So if you happen to have one and would like to trade or share or whatever, let me know, and maybe we can work out something. In the meantime, like and subscribe if you like this style of content. That always helps. And hopefully I will see you on the next one.